Welcome back. Let's get right to it. What are the three most important factors when it comes to buying a home?
Well, Alan, one of the most important factors, number one, we're going to talk about is credit. A lot of people are thinking about credit, what you need to have to be able to buy a home. And a lot of people get confused and they don't realize that you can have a credit score as low as 600 and still qualify with a loan program for first-time buyer.
Yeah, and a second factor that is really important is the down payment, right?
Yes.
And that's a question that's asked by a lot of buyers. How much money do I need to bring to purchase a home? And we're going to talk about the numbers there as far as down payment is concerned.
And the other factor, third, is closing costs. A lot of people ask how much money I need to buy a home. When it comes, obviously, we talk about down payment, it's one factor, and the closing costs. Those two things are the ones that add up to the number. Normally, when we talk about closing costs can range anywhere between 3 to 5%.
All right, so let's break down this situation here. We're going to give you an example of a home that's going for $300,000. All right, I'm going to provide you the numbers here, kind of give you an idea of what your total closing costs will be at the end. And the four loan programs we're going to talk about here provide minimum down payments. So for the FHA loan, we're talking only about 3.5% down. Conventional loan will be 3% down. And the VA and USDA loans, no money down. That's 0%.
Correct.
That's great.
Correct. So let's break it down. When we use the FHA, you're using 3.5% down. That's roughly around $10,500 down payment that you have to bring if you use FHA. Conventional is 3%, so that means that you have to bring roughly $9,000 when you're using a home that is at $300,000. Good news is VA and USDA loan, you bring zero, meaning you don't have no down payment, which at the end, that's going to get you to bring less into the table.
Yeah, we like that, right? Zero money down. All right, let's talk about the next factor. That's the closing costs. And as we mentioned, it's about 3 to 5%, right?
Yeah.
So in this one example, we're going to show 4% closing costs. So for FHA, conventional, VA, and USDA, 4% of $300,000 would be $12,000.
Yes,
so we've got $12,000 all across the board for all four loans.
And when we look at those two things that we mentioned, when you're buying a home, the most important numbers you need to know is the down payment. What is the down payment? And what is the closing cost? When you add those two together, you can end up knowing how much money I need to bring into the table. So for FHA, when we add the two factors, which is down payment and closing costs, we're roughly around $22,500. That's the amount that you need out of your pocket to bring in to be able to get that home. For conventional, it's $21,000 when we're looking at there. And now for VA and USDA loan, it's roughly $12,000 that you need to bring when it comes to buying the home out of your money, out of your pocket.
Okay, yeah, so that kind of gives you an idea, the closing costs, the down payment, kind of gives you an idea of what your numbers are. But Gamalier, I've got some great news.
What is that?
There's another strategy that we can use to reduce the total cost of the down payment and closing costs and everything. Seller contribution.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and this is where the seller actually helps out. They actually contribute a portion of the money towards your closing costs.
And how can a buyer does that?
So if you have a great realtor on your side, they can negotiate that with the listing agent and reduce the amount of money that you need to come to the table. So that's one option there. And in this example, we're going to show what a seller's numbers would look like after contributing 1% of the purchase price.
So when we look at that, before we're looking at $22,500 for FHA you have to bring out of pocket. You take in consideration that 1% that Alan mentioned that gives you for a home that is worth $300,000, that gives you $3,000 that you could use as a contribution from seller. So we subtract that amount from the amount before. For FHA, we end up at $19,500 that you bring out of pocket. For conventional, we're looking at around $18,000 that you will have to bring out of your pocket. And for VA loan and USDA loan, you need roughly $9,000 to be able to buy the home. So that means you buy that home with the seller contribution discount, you end up bringing only $9,000 for using VA and USDA loan out of your pocket.
Yeah, so that's some big savings there with the seller contributing. And there's another factor, Gamalier.
Another one.
Yeah, another strategy we can use here as far as reducing the total closing costs. And that's what people want to hear, right?
Yes.
And that's what's known as grant money.
What is grant money?
And grant money is money that you don't have to owe back, which is great.
Yeah.
There are available through different programs, loan programs. Sometimes they're paid out by the state, the county level. These are monies that can be used towards reducing your total closing costs.
Yeah, and obviously that's like I mentioned, you don't have to pay it back. And sometimes some of the bank had some of those programs also available. And particularly today, we're going to talk about one that is available here in Metro Atlanta area. You could go up to $7,000. So you could qualify up to $7,000 when you buy a home that is close to $300,000. So when you get this grant and you apply towards the amount that we had before, then for FHA, you're gonna end up with out of your pocket only $12,500 if you wanted to buy a home that is $300,000. And for conventional, when you subtract it, you're gonna end up at $11,000. So that means you could buy this home using the conventional program, using the seller contribution, and the grant money end up only coming out of pocket $11,000. But take a look at this. If you use a VA loan or USDA loan, and you take advantage of the seller contribution and the grant money, then you're gonna end up coming out of pocket to buy this $300,000 only at $2,000 out of pocket.
That's incredible. Yeah. So when you look at the numbers there, that gives you an idea of what you would need to bring to the table at closing to get the keys to your house. So that's a great example here.
Yes.
And if you're looking to make a purchase, we can always sit down with you and kind of go over the numbers with you, just to give you a better idea, depending on what price range you're looking at. So those are the three most important factors when it comes to buying a home. As we mentioned, credit score, you would need a minimum of 600 or more. You need a down payment. Sometimes you don't need a down payment if you're going with the VA and USDA at 0% or 3 to 3.5% based on which loan you use, conventional or FHA. And then closing costs range anywhere from 3 to 5%.
And we understand everybody's situation is different. That's why we offer a free consultation for the buyer so we can sit down, understand your situation better, and let you know what are the first steps and the best programs available that will meet you and your situation.
All right, thank you for watching, and we will talk to you next time.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.